Hiya, I'm going to spend a few minutes, I've less time now after all the setup, talking about features, epics, and stories. I'll introduce you to the problem, provide some examples, and give you some useful tips. So I'm Richard Keast. I'm a team lead at Bluefruit over at Redreef. That's only a few miles from here. So some of my...
Are you hiring?
I hear. Yeah. Some of my colleagues here, we've got, you know, Jordan, there's Brian next there. So I run a team of software developers and testers, and we develop embedded software for clients. And recently, I found a problem with different meanings being used for feature, epic, and user story. Because your definition of these terms might differ from other stakeholders' definitions, and even the tools you're using. And it's likely that you have no awareness of this until now. And even Wikipedia alludes to this. So I asked Google and a few people on Twitter, a couple of them are here today, for their definitions of these terms. And I had some interesting responses. And having looked at all the responses and everything I'd found out, I noticed there were about a few definitions, but three sort of similar definitions, but are subtly different. So the first definition is that there's no difference between features and user stories. I've seen that quite a few places. And epics are just big user stories. So that's the sort of first definition I came across. The second definition is basically that saying that there's a clear hierarchy between these terms. The epics are big, the features are sort of medium-sized, and user stories are small in size. And the third is basically saying that epics and user stories sort of produce features in an iterative and incremental way. So they can be, basically features are built up through epics and user stories. So at Bluefruit, we practice BDD. At the start of each sprint, we have a Free Amigos meeting. And that produces the rules, the acceptance criteria, and examples and scenarios. We then have epics and user stories to plan and deliver vertical slices of those features. And then the features will continue to evolve until they're complete. So we're currently moving over from Lean Kit to Target Process, which we use to plan and track our sprint work. With Target Process, there is a clear hierarchy from epics to features to stories, which doesn't really match the way we work. And it took me far too long to realize that this could be a problem. I had envisaged using the API to integrate with our BDD process, and I got like really excited about all the different possibilities of that I could use it for. But how we define features just doesn't fit with this tool. I looked for more examples of differing terminology in other tools available, and when I started looking, I found hierarchy and definitions are not the only problem. I found that Jira introduced terms like themes and initiatives with no mentions of features at all. And elsewhere, I've seen the words epic and theme used interchangeably. Some tools like GitLab have recognized this problem and provide a map to translate these terms into its own versions, which is a good step towards tackling the issue. So here are some simple things that your team could start to help with this problem. One, just be aware that some stakeholders could hold different definitions, and that there are different definitions for these terms in general. Number two, define these terms with your team and project. It could be different on a project by project basis. Write them down and share them with all stakeholders and get buy-in. Number three, check how your tools define these terms so that you're not using the wrong tool, or if you are, you can mitigate these different problems. Thank you for listening, and by the way, we're hiring.